of 8 universities, and one, sort of associates them with great academic excellence. But they started off only as a collegiate athletic conference somewhere in 1933, and there were these colonial universities that were good at sports, and so they made a sort of league of their own. And over time, of course, they've become. So when you talk about the Ivy Leagues, it's of course synonymous with good academics, but they are equally good other universities, simply because the Ivy Leagues were restricted to the northeastern part of America. Okay, so you have Stanford, which is brilliant, but is not an Ivy League. So don't only think that Ivy Leagues are the be all end all. It is probably harder to get into MIT than it is to get into Cornell or Brown. It is very hard to get into Caltech compared to Penn, for example. I've worked with a student this year who's going to university and who got into Penn, who got into Brown, but didn't get into U Chicago. So when you talk about other good universities, which is what the question is, I'd just like to tell you that they are on par with Ivy League, many, many good universities. Of course, I think there are many factors that come into play to decide your admission at a US university. It isn't like in India restricted to your grades. They're going to look at your extracurriculars, they're looking at your full transcript, 9, 10th, 11th, 12th. They even look very closely at your attendance over 9, 10th, 11th, 12th. So these are some of the things students don't even know. Your recommendations have a big part to play, how brilliant your essays have a big part to play, and then of course your SAT scores. So it's just one part of this big puzzle that they are looking for when they give acceptances to students. By and large, if you still want an answer to this question, even though there is no right answer that any counselor can give you, by and large, if we have a student who's looking at Ivy League and similar, so the 8 Ivy Leagues and Caltech, Stanford, U Chicago, MIT, all of those, we are looking at 1550 SAT scores and over. Okay. However, there will be kids who didn't get in with a 1600, and there will be students who maybe got in with a 1450. So I met the admissions dean from Duke a couple of years back, and she mentioned to me that in 2014 or 15, they had 200 applications from students with, 400 applications from students with full SAT scores. In those days, we used to have the 2400 on the SAT. So they got 400 applications from students who had 2400 on 2400. And they rejected 200 of them. Okay. So the SAT alone is not the determinant of your admission and where you'll get in. It is one of the factors. Of course, you need to do well in it because your competition is all taking the SATs, and it's the one it's the one score that is that can equate all applicants. Okay, so it's a good point of comparison. So you need a good score, but it has to be presented to them along with many other factors. So if we look at these universities, we're looking at 1550 and above, and then the second rung, the UC Berkeley, NYU, there are many, they are all very good universities, Georgia Tech, and so many others would then, Johns Hopkins, Tufts, we are looking at 1500 and above. So that's the easy answer to give you, but there really is no easy answer. Yes? Any questions on that? Anything you need clarified further?
Boys? All good.
Yeah? Okay. So, just keep in mind that there will be a variety of factors. How well you write your essays. So, I was mentioning to your other classmates that your essays cannot get you into university, but they can get you out of university. If you write poor your application essays, you can get rejected even though you have everything else. So it's a little bit, I have to be honest with you, a subjective decision, by the admissions officers. Of course, you need to meet the minimum criteria. So, if you say got 1500 and above, you'll be in the bucket that is being considered. But your recommendations can get you out of there, your essays can get you out of there, your lack of extracurricular or community service can get you out of there. And the fact that you have good these things can get you into it, even though you're just sitting at 1520 or 1500. Okay. So keep that in mind as you have one more year of school to go, that you need to also show participation in other areas of life. To be honest, the universities don't just want nerds in their schools. Okay, they want kids who will participate. Just like in school, universities have so many clubs, societies, activities happening. Whether they are debating or theatre or community service in the community that the university is located. And universities are looking for those candidates or those students that will participate in all of this. They just don't want somebody who's in school studying and doing nothing else. So keep that at the back of your mind as you plan ahead. Okay. Another question that I think one of you had is, what is the criteria for applying to automobile engineering, I'm guessing is what you're asking, right? So studying automotive engineering is, part of an engineering discipline, but you also will do some extra courses that you don't do with engineering. So what do you need to prepare yourself for? Obviously, physics and chemistry. You should be good at calculus, at differential equations, and at matrix algebra, because those areas will also be used when you're studying automotive engineering. Statistical analysis is very important again. So if you're doing some stats in school, that's good, and keep that up as well. And of course, there'll be courses on dynamics, thermodynamics, and statics. So these together are what you will study as your core courses in a course on automotive engineering. And as a precursor for that, in school, obviously you need to do physics, chemistry, maths. But if there are some areas that you don't study, try and study them outside of school. Maybe do a Coursera course or something like that to up your skills and to show the admissions officers that you truly have an interest in this area. Any question on that part of it? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. And in terms of, the top colleges for automotive engineering, University of Michigan is very good. So UMich is very good, and so is Michigan State University and Michigan Technological University. So the whole Michigan area is very automotive centric. So that's why a lot of the colleges there excel in automotive engineering, but also Indiana, Bloomington, Purdue. Purdue is very good. Cornell is very good. Kettering University. Now, you may not even have heard of Kettering, but it used to be known earlier as the General Motors Institute. So all of General Motors research and analysis used to happen there. Austin, Texas, very good. In South Carolina, there is a university called Clemson. It's not something that you may have heard of, but they have a center for automotive research. So this is the kind of information, when you decide to apply, that your counselor will give you. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There are many, many universities that are good at different subjects, and there's an inside story to each of them, why they are so famous for what they teach. Okay. Let me go back to the question. Yeah, so I've given you the top colleges and criteria. Just need to do well. To be an engineer, you need to be smart, you need to have good grades, you need to show them that you have an interest in this area. If you think you could, participate in something in school that shows your interest in engineering. I don't know if your school has a robotics lab. or something like that. There are competitions that happen across schools. Take part in that. So all of that you need to showcase to convince them that you're genuinely interested in this course. Any question?
Yeah.
Are we good? Yeah.
No, one second, Namita. I have a question.
Yeah.
When I'm shortlisting my college list for automobile, what factors do I look at? How, on what basis do I uh, make the decision?
So yeah, so obviously one thing you look at is how well the university is ranked, and can you get into it? Are your grades good enough? All the data is there online. What are the SAT scores they take? What are the kind of GPAs they're looking at? If it is, very strongly ranked as a university, obviously the kind of school scores they want you. So universities clearly will look for the top 5% in the class. Your teachers in their recommendation forms are asked to fill that out. Are you in the top 5, top 10, top 20%? So amazingly, even if there's no ranking in your report card, this information still reaches them through other sources. Through the recommendations, there's a ticky box for teachers when they write the recommendations, and they need to put you in those. But beyond that, they're also looking at how creative you are, how, what is your peer relationship, how do you help your peers. So again, there is no one thing that will make it right for you. When you look for a university for yourself, it should work for you on many grounds. So number one, obviously, is your course available at that university? That is the basic thing. Are they good at what you want to study? Number two, are you good enough for them? So you choose accordingly. Number three, do you want to go to a huge, big university? Do you want to go to a small one or a medium-sized one? Do you want to go to somebody who's local, who's an urban university or a suburban or a rural university? So a lot of the time as counselors, this is what we determine for each child sitting with the child. Because there are 5,000 universities, not counting community colleges, in the US alone, it is impossible for anybody to tell you this is right for you. The match has to be found. What is a good fit for you? You may decide you have lots of family and friends or parents' friends in the East Coast. So you may decide to go to the East Coast, or you may have them on the West Coast. And it's very important. You're going to be miles away from home. There could be an emergency. There could be settling in issues. Try to find somebody. It makes sense to find somebody nearby who you can go to if the need arises. Hopefully it doesn't. Then you may hate the cold, or you may want to be in a sunny place. So there are many factors, and because even within automotive there will be like 100 universities offering it, the list depends on the person you are. So sit with your counselor, figure out, this is what are my grades, my extracurricular, this is my resume, so to say. Your counselor will then tell you, these are some of the universities you need to look at. Okay, because they fit your needs very well. You're going from a small school. I can barely see some 5-7 of you. I don't know how many they are in the class. So if you go to NYU, you'll have a class of 600 kids. Maybe that isn't for you, and maybe it is for you. Maybe you thrive where there are big, huge classes. You won't be able to see your professor. It'll be in an auditorium and you'll see your professor on screen, just like you're seeing me. Okay? But other students say, no, I want to go to a engineering college like WPI. You haven't even heard of it, but it's Worcester Polytechnic Institute. It's ranked very, very highly amongst the liberal arts science colleges. But there you'll get to sit with a professor like you're sitting with your teacher right now, and then you can walk into your professor's house in the evening if you have a query, because everybody lives on campus. So they are very different experiences, because there are very different universities available for you to apply to. Is that any better? Does that answer the question? I mean, I can't draw up a list for you because I don't know you, but that's how it works. And that is why it's more complicated than just doing some research online, because it's very important to go where you will fit in well and be happy and excel. Okay?
Yes.
Should I move to the next question or anything else? Yeah. Okay. What are the requirements for medicine in the US, in US and Canada? Okay. You may be aware that US is not a course that you are in the US and in Canada. Medicine is not a course that you apply in class 12 for. It is a postgraduate degree. So first you need to just do university. Okay. Obviously, you will join a university that has a good pre-med program. That means they are good at preparing you to go to med school. So undergrad university in the US and Canada is going to just be a preparation for going to med school. Med school will start after 4 years. So first you'll do your 4 years undergrad, and then you will do another 4 years of med school undergrad. Okay, so it's like a 12-year journey or a 14-year journey. Obviously, you need to have biology and chemistry, mandatory, and maths. So those three, like we know across the world, remain the same. In India, strangely enough, we also need physics. So it's physics, chemistry, and bio, which is a bit odd, because really, I don't know why they need physics, but they do. What will happen when you go to these universities overseas? First year, you will do the core curriculum that the university offers. So say you join Johns Hopkins, you will do history, maths, English, geography, everything as per the university's core curriculum requirement, which every single student will do. Because at this stage, they don't know whether you're actually going to make it to med school or not. And neither do you. It's really hard. Okay. When they say that we have a 43% success rate, that means our pre-med students, half of them manage to get into med school. That is considered, oh my God, that's huge, So, so you start off with doing the core curriculum, and at the end of second year, you will choose all the pre-med courses that are required. You need to obviously excel in everything. Medicine is one of the toughest careers. So they want you to be extremely hardworking, and they want to see that already, Otherwise, to survive med school is very difficult. And then you will continue doing all these med courses. In your fourth year, final year, you will take the MCAT. The MCAT is the medical school entrance exam. And it is extremely tough, but it is also necessary that you have good grades in college. So you're not only trying to really get good grades in college, you're preparing for the MCAT exam. And that will help you get into a medical school. So I'm guessing your question will be, so how should one prepare for that to even apply to a school that has a good pre-med program? And how should I choose that school? So number one, choose the school that is attached to a hospital, because there is a trickle-down effect of research happening. So like Johns Hopkins has a great med program because Johns Hopkins Hospital is very good. Okay, so definitely look at what kind of research is happening, what kind of medical facilities at the senior level do they have. Okay. The other thing, to even set out and give a good application, you should have done something with medicine at this stage. Okay, so either intern in a hospital, or work with a doctor, or do some, work with somebody who's researching something in a lab or something like that. You have to convince them that other than studying biology and chemistry in school, there is something more to you that makes you a good candidate for medicine. Medicine is very tough to get into. I have to be honest with you, students. And as an international student, it's even tough. Okay? Because no medical college anywhere in the world can exist or run without government support. So whether it's in India, whether it's AIIMS in Delhi or whichever hospital, or it's Massachusetts Institute Hospital for Children in Boston, all of them are funded by the government. Now, why will the government pay to educate you as an international student? Only if you're just a genius. You are brilliant. You'll be paying a huge fee, but you are never paying fully for med school. It has to be funded by a government. Whatever your parents pay for medical school cannot cover the cost of med school, because they have the laboratories they need to have so many specimens, they need to have dead bodies, they need to have 20,000 things that we cannot even think about, which can only come from the government funding. So it's a tough one to get into. If you are truly looking for med school as a medicine as a career, I would rather you consider the UK or Australia or Singapore, because it's like India, direct entry into medicine. But there are issues being a CBSE student getting into these places. So I'm not going to fool you that it's, you'll walk in, even if you got 100%, it is not easy to get into. They have, they're not excited to take on local boards. So it's not CBSE or ICSE or anything like that. It's also the local board for China or Malaysia or Afghanistan or whichever country people come from. So currently the UK is offering medical entrances to students who have done the IB or the A levels, international curriculums over local curriculums of every country. There is more flexibility in Australia, so that's a good location to look at. And Singapore has too many quotas, again very difficult, and you are required to know Mandarin, because for your hospital work you need to know the local language. So again, little difficult if you don't obviously you don't speak Chinese. Yeah. So any questions on medicine?
No, Namita, we'll move on.
Rather depressing, I know, but I have to be honest with you. Yeah. Okay. And India, of course, you can always go do medicine in India. That option is always there. Manipal is waiting. Okay. Next question is, what are the career options for maths with accountancy and good universities offering this course? Okay. So finance, accounting, those kind of courses are common to all universities. Almost everybody will have a business school. They will offer you accounts, mathematics, business studies, management science, and all that family of subjects. If you're very good at maths, choose courses that choose a higher level of maths to study, because maths opens a lot of doors in this career field. Obviously, if you join banking or insurance or actuarial sciences, all these need people who are good at maths. So it's a good subject to excel in. And I mean, I don't need to list the universities, because any university that has a good business school will have these courses. The only thing you need to keep in mind is, what is the accounting accreditation across the world? So the UK accounting accreditation is accepted in India. However, the US is, you'll have to take some accounting exam to be eligible to be an accountant, a chartered accountant in other countries. So there's a CFA exam that you need to take, but nothing to worry about. That is only specific to chartered accountancy. But if you're joining a bank or you're joining the finance department of a company, you just need good financial mathematical skills. Yeah. And okay. So next question is, what are Canadian universities which offer aeronautical engineering? Okay. There are quite a few. You may not have heard of them quite easily. But aerospace engineering is available in a lot of universities, both in US and UK. In Canada and Canada in particular, Carleton actually is ranked #1. Waterloo is also very good. Concordia University is good. In Montreal, there are a couple of universities, but I think you need French for those to be able to get in. McGill, which is French and English bilingual, is very good for aerospace engineering and aeronautical engineering. Ryerson is good. So a whole bunch of them. These are now pretty popular courses. So most universities will offer courses like automotive, aerospace, aeronautical, and they will be overlapping. At some point, you may start off just by doing engineering, then you will actually specialize in one area of engineering. And that could be anything from mechanical to electrical, electronic, computer systems, aeronautical, aerospace. It just goes on and on. So there are lots of, but you have to start with being an engineer first. Okay? You don't directly just become an aerospace engineer. Universities for mechanical engineering in the US. To your colleagues, classmates, the other day I was mentioning, mechanical continues to be one of the most popular engineering programs across the world because it is sort of the base for all kinds of engineering. They are, I mean, it's the same list that, I've talked about. Every single engineering college will have a good mechanical department because it's literally the father of all engineering stories. Okay, courses. So you could just anyone, MIT, Harvard, Stanford, you name it, they'll all have mechanical engineering. Again, where you get in will be determined by your grades. Okay, what your grades are will decide where you are a good fit. Your grades and everything else, as I mentioned, the whole package will decide where you fit in. So you'll have lower ranked universities, higher ranked universities, everyone offering mechanical, but just make sure that their school of engineering is a strong school so that you get the best degree possible. Okay. Which colleges are the best for computer science and related majors in both the US and Canada? Okay. So computer science, again, very popular with especially Indian students. And the top US schools are MIT, Stanford, UC Berkeley, very good for computer science, Harvard, Caltech, Carnegie Mellon, Cornell, UIUC, University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. These are all the really good. Again, like you've written related, you will first study the basis of computer science and then move on to something specific. Do you want to do programming or do you want to do hardware, software, whatever? So, and similarly in Canada, U Toronto, very good. Waterloo, very good. McGill, good. So they are similarly a good list of Canadian universities which are good at computer science. Okay, let me go back to your questions, which are sort of lost somewhere.
Question?
Ma'am, can you say something about for the commerce students out there in US and Canada?
Commerce,
Sorry, can you
commerce
repeat that?
students options available in US and Canada. She answered that, no?
Again, all business schools are good. So look at good business schools. Anyone that has a good, so what will happen is if you look at something like Penn, for example, they have a College of Arts and Sciences. Wharton is mostly a postgraduate program. So they don't have a clear Wharton undergraduate business program. They have only one program, which is the M&T program, Management and Technology, which is a joint program between Wharton and School of Engineering. So by and large, to study business, if there is not a clear-cut school of business in that university, then you're looking at the College of Arts and Sciences or the Department of Arts and Sciences. You will study a combination of economics, accounts, management, those kind of subjects if you're joining College of Arts and Sciences. So you have to remember that in the US, what they are looking for is to give you a holistic education. So it's different from UK and India where we enter directly into a course. Okay, the US and Canada is saying no. We want to first make you, holistically have an education that covers most things, and then you move on at the end of second year to declare your major. And there is a reason for that. In India and in the UK, the high school system is very good. We all have studied a lot in our high school years. So from 9, 10th, 11th, 12th, we've got a very strong grounding in all the subjects. In the US, on the other hand, unfortunately, the high school system has failed. You may think, oh, but my cousins and all study in these schools and they're they're the 5% that go to private schools. The public school system, or what we call the government school system in the US, is quite pathetic. So many kids complete high school without having the kind of academic rigor that you have experienced, which is why the US has the first year of the core curriculum to determine how much you actually know. And lots of kids drop out, American kids drop out, which is why for our students, for Indian kids, when we go there, or Chinese kids or Singaporean students, when they go to US, first year is very easy. They think that they're the brightest. Everybody's on the dean's list and thinks, oh my God, I'm like the cat's whiskers, which is true. But everybody will catch up by second and certainly by third year. And then that's when I hear all the kids talking about their GPAs no longer being 4.0 and all, because all the ones who cannot cope have dropped out of college, and now really the kids who are very bright continue. So that is the reason they have this core curriculum, and which is why that's what you'll also have to do. You won't enter directly to study your major. Aside from the professional courses, which is engineering and architecture, all other majors are declared at the end of second year. So it's halfway through your 4 years of college that you will declare your major. Okay? Okay. Any other question?
Yeah, one second, Namita.
Yeah.
Coming back to computer science in Canada, ma'am, if I'm looking at McGill, ma'am, McGill is in Quebec, ma'am, and I've heard that Quebec has a French community. So
Yeah.
would it affect like Indians as such? Because yeah,
So McGill does have a preference for those students who know French. I'll be honest with you. They have a bias because it's a French state and they want people to be bilingual. But that doesn't mean that others don't apply. It's just harder for them to get in. Worth trying. In any case, remember, when you apply to university, you're not going to get into everyone that you apply to. You'll have some dream colleges, you'll have some safety colleges, you'll have some target colleges. So you will find that you need to keep a range of colleges. Okay. Should I move on to the next question?
I have one more question, Namita. Sorry.
yeah. In Canada, how is the University of British Columbia in terms of computer science?
UBC is stronger for the social sciences. I have to be honest with you. Yeah. Than it is for the sciences, pure sciences. It's good at psychology. It's very good at their business courses are also good. Waterloo is a better option if you're looking for pure sciences course, for a pure science course like computer science.
Yeah.
Like U Toronto is very good. You can look at U Toronto. McMaster is very good. UBC struggles a bit with the sciences.
Mom, Waterloo I've heard is like it isn't the same system that generally US schools follow or Canadian schools follow. It's like it's not that first year you just pick engineering, then you choose your courses. It's like you have to select mechanical or electrical, something like that. Is it?
No, you'll apply to the School of Engineering. So, okay, the difference between Canada and the US is that Canada is sort of stuck between the US and UK. You apply to a school, so when you apply, you are telling them that this is the major I'm going to do, and most likely you have to stick to it. It's a little difficult to change courses. It's not as easy as it is in the UK, in the US. The US, on the other hand, you're getting into the college, not the course. Then you may do anything. You may join wanting to be a computer scientist and leave being a chef. They don't care, and it depends on your interest. But in UK, you're going directly into your subject. So even if you've applied for computer systems engineering, that's what you'll study, and not computer science with maths. You won't study that. That is the particular course you're studying. Canada is somewhere in between. You apply to a department. So say if you're applying to School of Engineering, you are sort of limited to remaining there. So yes, you're right, but I don't think you have to clearly say it's mechanical. No, I don't believe that. or it is this thing, you will get an opportunity to move within that engineering world.
This is the case with all Canadians.
Sorry?
Is
This is the
this
case with all Canadian universities.
By and large, flexibility is lesser. It is within a school. So if you join the School of Arts and Sciences, you can play around a little bit. There is the system of major and minor, just like the US, but it is not easy for you to join School of Engineering and say, oh yes, I want to do one course in history now. You know, that kind of thing doesn't exist. You are limited to the department you are in. Yes, and that is true for most of them, for all of them. If you don't have clarity on what you want to do, then it's better to join School of Arts and Sciences, where you have art subjects and science subjects. So you can do physics with economics as a minor. You can do economics as a minor. You can do engineering as a major. So that school gives you some flexibility, a fair amount of flexibility actually. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's the aviation? Now, what are the good colleges which offer aviation in Canada?
Oh,
Aviation in Canada.
aviation. Oh, I don't know offhand, but aerospace would cover all aviation. No, I gave you a list just now. Aerospace, Carlton, Concordia, McGill, Ryerson. There is a École Polytechnique de Montreal. So there are two of them in Montreal. All aerospace, aviation would come in that same list of sort of colleges. Okay. Should we move on? Any other questions?
Yeah, I have two more. Go on.
Ma'am, could you suggest some colleges in Canada and US for mass media?
Mass media.
UBC, very good. One is UBC. The other day we discussed this, no, animation you were looking for. Am I right? We had a question on, I think. Okay, so for mass media, 1 minute, let me
Sure.
quickly. I know that UBC has Vancouver has a lot of institutes that would fit your need. Let me just look for what we had discussed the other day. Yeah, so Seneca College, that's very good. So do remember that some of these kind of courses may not be at the universities that you normally would have heard of, but Western Ontario is also very good for media and media related. McMaster, by the way, is very good. Seneca is in Toronto, just for your information. Concordia again is good. I'm just having a whole list here. Media Communications, Langley, Trinity Western University, Western Ontario. So maybe you should keep Western Ontario in mind. And there is the Emily Carr University of Art and Design, also in Vancouver, which has a lot of media and communication. UBC, as I mentioned, that's another good one. Ryerson, another very good one. So Ryerson has multiple courses from digital media to media production to communications and advertising. So they have a lot of courses. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, one more, Namita.
Go ahead.
Is it good to take up something particular, for example, aeronautical engineering, or take up mechanical and then later move on to aeronautics?
In all likelihood, you should have a broad base, because you never know which area you may eventually get into. So even if you think you have clarity today at 18 or 17 that I only want to do aeronautical, I would advise you as a career counselor to go for a broader base in engineering, because you never know where the jobs are, how you change your mind, too many variables between now and then. And you can always specialize in the area after 4 years or at the end of 3 years. When you get clarity, you can go in for a specialization. In all likelihood, you will do a master's, that's how the world is. So My advice to you is choose a broader base rather than something very specific. Even the universities will not allow you to do something, you will do core engineering courses. You need to be an engineer before you be an aerospace engineer. Yeah. Any other questions?
No, we're good now.
Okay. No worries. Okay. Somebody had asked about wanting to study at the American University in Sharjah.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I have to be honest with you, I don't know very much about it, but I do know that they offer all the four major schools of or departments, you can call them, architecture, art and design, arts and sciences, engineering, and business. Those are their four main schools. Um, I would recommend that you find out what their placements are like. Maybe since you're there, you could actually visit them, because there is no data available online on where their students are working after they leave AUS. So they seem to have a good, academic reputation. They seem to have good faculty and facilities. But what is important when you go to university is, where do these people get jobs or get hired or go for their postgraduate study? So whoever is interested in the American University of Sharjah, please do this little bit of homework. I'm sure that they have an alumni department that can tell you where exactly their graduates are going, what kind of jobs they are doing, what is the average salary that they are getting. So it's important for you to get this information. I don't think this is a foreign offshoot of the AU, the American University in the US. It doesn't appear to be. But that may be another question, since they've taken the name from there, because there is an American university in Washington, D.C., which is very good. And it's very well known for international relations, politics, global studies, developmental economics, and many subjects in that area. And they have very good internships in the Washington, D.C. area. So I haven't been able to find out whether this is a offshoot of American University of Washington. So if one of you have the time, or Vasudha, maybe you could just call them up and ask them some of these questions.
Will do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, I mean, they seem to have all the facilities. They have good, and they have some 90 nationalities, which was very impressive. So they are quite multicultural. I'm not concerned about anything other than this. Where do their graduates go? Where do they work and study after they graduate from AUS? Okay, what percentage is required in grade 11 and 12 to apply to US and Canadian universities? There is a college for every child. For the one who gets 40% and the one who gets 100%. So do the best you can do. Put in your 100% and get the best grades that you could possibly get. As you all know, we have, every university wants diversity. They want all kinds of kids. I told you just now that they don't want a whole bunch of nerds, but they also don't want kids who are just sportsmen and never study, or just coders, or are not interested in any other subject. So it's an impossible answer to give you, because there is a university for every kid. Yeah. What are the admissions requirements to University of Toronto and University of Waterloo? Again, you have to have, obviously, be in class 12 and graduated. They take a lot of students from the CBSE board, so we have no problems there. You have to take the IELTS or the TOEFL. That's a mandatory requirement. And depending on the courses you're applying for, if you're applying for engineering, you need to have physics and chemistry. If you're applying for economics, you need to have maths and economics. They will be related, and obviously you will apply to what you've studied in school and you have a background in, other than some subjects like law, for example, which you don't normally, you don't study in school. But if you're applying for law, then you need to have you should have studied history, that's, and political science. Those are subjects that connect with law. And of course, you need to have done well because both of them are good universities and are selective universities. So they are looking for good students. Okay. Please explain how the applications to the University of California are different from applications to the other US colleges in the Common App. Okay. So the University of California is not part of the Common App. So that's like the big thing, you know, because we, as counselors, we're very irritated that why don't they just belong to the Common App and we don't have to do two separate applications. But sadly, we have to. So the one big difference is there is no early decision or early action application for University of California, and that's one big thing. So there's no regular versus this. It's just one time frame. The second big difference is that the application opens on 1st November and closes on 30th November. It has a 1 month window to apply. You have to start your application and complete it during that period. Okay. You can submit it on the 1st if you like, or you can submit it on the 25th if you like, but that is your submission window. It doesn't go on to 31st. Yes. Aside from that, one interesting thing is that they are the A to E courses that the University of California mandatorily require, and we cover all those in CBSE aside from performing arts. So performing and visual arts. So either you need to have done at least 2 years of art, music, or drama in your 4 years of high school. Now, by and large, Vasudha, correct me if I'm wrong, you would be doing some kind of art in 9th and 10th.
Not necessary.
Not necessary.
Not necessary.
Okay, so it's not the end of the world. Ideally, you'll find it quite hard to complete the application because it will keep telling you, why aren't you filling this in, you know. But my advice to you, Vasudha, is to tell the school that it should be put
Has
somewhere
something to do.
down in there.
There are a
In
lot
there.
of students who opt for something outside school because the school cannot, the rigor starts for CBSE from grade 9 onwards. And
Yeah,
the
but
subject choices.
unfortunately,
Yeah,
they're only looking for school
I
courses.
know. Yeah. Okay.
So what you can do is in your school profile, put down this
Okay.
somewhere, you
Okay.
know, that it is not a
It
mandatory
is not a
requirement and it is the choice that students make. It's just I mean, it's hundreds of kids still get into the UCs, but it's better if the school explains themselves rather than the child having to explain
fair.
themselves. Okay. Aside from that, the UCs require you. They don't have a main common app essay and then supplementary essays. It is they have 4 essays you need to write. They give you a choice of 8, and you choose four topics, and all the same application goes to all the whichever one of the UCs you apply to. So interestingly, even though it's one application that goes to all the UCs, there is a payment which is separate to every UC. So it's $70 per college that you apply to. So 70 for UC Berkeley, 70 for UCLA, 70 for UC San Diego, like that. Okay. Please don't apply to all 9 because they may not offer the courses you want to study. Pick and choose the ones you do. The toughest to get into is Berkeley, then UCLA, then San Diego, Davis, Irvine, and down the list, Santa Barbara, whatever. Aside from that, 4 essays. Oh, yeah. One good thing about the UCs is if you send your SAT scores and your TOEFL scores to one college, it is automatically shared with all the colleges you applied to. So you don't have to keep sending it. So you save money there. Even though you apply separately, you save money there. Other than that, I've told you about the application window. They will get back to you college by college around March, end of March, you will know. Mid-March to end March. So that's about it, yeah.
Yeah. We have 2 questions here. Please go on.
Yeah.
What are the overall percentages for the University of Toronto and Waterloo?
That's what she mentioned that there is not.
Like what preference, like average percentages do the applicants that get
So,
accepted
so beta, since it's easy to score in the CBSE, they'll look for 85, 90 and above. Yeah. And they'll want a transcript that is, showing upward
Progress.
growth of marks. You know, yeah, they don't want to see kids very erratic. Any university doesn't want to see it. But yes, I think everybody will look at 90 and 90 pluses and all. Toronto has become very, very popular. And with Trump, everybody who's applying to America is now applying to Canada. So suddenly they have like a 200% increase in applications. So that's
Yeah.
it.
Go on.
Ma'am, you talked about how important essays are for US colleges.
Yeah.
What do they play for Canadian universities, ma'am? Like,
Sorry?
are essays equally important for Canadian universities as they are for US colleges?
No. US most important. Canadian universities, yes, you can't write a horrible essay, but there aren't as many essays to write. UBC has four, but they are of varied lengths. You can't mess it up better. You can't mess up anything. You can't say, oh, I'll just ignore this. It's a package, but um I would still say grades are the most important, and essays would be second. There we don't have clarity because what happens in the US is that you would have met the threshold for grades to even go into the next bucket. Then everybody's essays are getting read, everybody's recommendations are getting read. So you're competing basically on essays with each other, right? Here, the main threshold is grades. But you can't, so I don't want to give you this advice that they're not important. Should you just take 20 minutes and write a silly essay and send it off? You can't do that for anything. When you go for a job, even though your resume is the most important thing, it's equally important that you interview very well. It's equally important that your recommendations that your previous employer or your college gives you is important, is good. So everything builds an application, you know. But I have to admit that the essays are not as, the topics of the essays are not as tough in the Canadian universities as it is in the US. And I was mentioning to your colleagues the other day, your classmates, you could have really, really abstract essays in the US which are quite hard to deal with. The Canada, it's all quite easy. They'll ask you about your extracurricular interests or what community service you've done or your personal statement on why you want to study a certain major, or if you've experienced failure in life and how did you deal with it. So they're straightforward. They're not giving you questions like what is odd about odd numbers and do you like Wednesdays and who is this historical figure that you would like to have lunch with, and those kind of American topics.
Go on.
The American topics can be really weird.
Is there any advantage for early application as compared to regular application? An
Yeah,
advantage?
I've answered this previously, and Vasudha can share that with you, but I'll just reply. The early application is always an application to your university which you're almost there at. You should have all the criteria to get in, maybe missing something by a margin, small margin. Okay, so say you have you want to apply to any, let's say UCLA, and you have the scores that normally kids require to get into UCLA. Your percentage in school is good, your transcript looks good, but you're not so good at extracurricular activities, or maybe you have no leadership in your resume. Then you'll say this can be my early application. I mean, of course, UCLA doesn't have a early app system, so that's a bad example. So say Tufts, and so you'll apply because you're there but just missing a little bit. It can never be a dream college. It can never be a safe college. Because everybody who applies is like you, the pool of applications is very competitive. Everybody is almost there. They have almost everything to get into that particular college as an early applicant, which is why the acceptance rate is a bit higher compared to regular decision, because the pool of applications is so competitive and so perfect that they have to end up taking more than they will take in regular, where it's a dream college for some kids, it's a safe college for some kids, it's a target college for some kids. So there's a nice diverse mix. The advantage is that you are committing to the school that I will come here if I get it, and you're showing your interest quite obviously. The school has a fair amount that if so many kids have applied early decision and we make so many offers, it's a binding decision. They have to come to us. So many seats of ours are filled. Now let us plan for regular decision, you know. And then they say, okay, fine. I wanted to take 1,000 students. I've already got 300 through early decision. Now I have 700 seats left. So I have to plan accordingly. So both are telling each other that yes, we are interested. So that's a good thing. But remember, you must be 100% sure that if you get in, you want to go there. You can't say I'll get in, but oh dear, maybe I could have gone to some other place. You know, because that is better ranked or my best friend is going there. Because this is a binding decision. It is signed by you, your parents and the school, and none of you can get out of it. By law, legally, you have to go there. No other college will take you once you sign the early decision document.
Okay, Namita, the last question. Boys, now the last one.
Ma'am, can you shed some light on financial aid?
Yeah. Okay. So financial aid predominantly is given to students who have financial need. They have to be needy to get financial aid. Because financial aid is funded by the government of the US, it is restricted to US citizens. So we all are not eligible for aid unless you have an American passport. However, you are eligible for merit scholarships. And merit scholarships are given at the discretion of the university. All of you must tick the box that says, please consider me for any merit scholarships. But it can be $5,000, it can be $15,000, it can be a full ride if it's a need blind college. But it will depend on how good you are and how badly they want you in their university. So you don't have much control over it. So in comparison to financial aid for an American student who's poor, he actually can say, my parents don't have the money, this is their bank statement, they earn $500 a month, and I'm the first generation to go to college, then they have to give him aid if he belongs to that state. They are under no such obligation to do this for international students. You are getting financial help only if you deserve it, you are academically a meritorious child. Okay?
Yeah, we
Clear?
ask.
Ma'am, you said about for the University of California, they usually require some instrument or arts or drama. But is it too late to start now? If we just go for
No, so 1 minute. It is a requirement, but if your school doesn't provide that requirement, you cannot be penalized for it. It's a good thing to have, but if your school didn't, it's a school requirement. So you will start it now outside of school, which doesn't fulfill the need. Yeah. So many kids will learn art, you know, in art class, they go outside of school, but they are asking for that as A to E school subject requirement. So of course, if you want to learn an instrument, learn it. That will be in your extracurricular activities and that always looks good, but you still cannot make up for what the school is not offering. So don't worry about that. Yeah. Do it because you have an interest and you excel in it and all of that, but not because you cannot make up for a school curriculum. You'll never, you know, you won't be. So what some students, a lot of them learn music and they've done Trinity grade 1, 2, 3, whatever, they continue with that. So they show that, but it can't be considered a school subject. You're doing it outside of school.
But even from Trinity, it's given weightage.
Yeah, as an extracurricular.
Yeah, fair enough.
Of course. I mean, you know, having any of these capabilities is a plus.
Yeah. All right, boys, we good?
Yes.
We can say
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All the best. Take care. Bye, Vas.
Yes, Namita. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think she's